There's just something special about a clear looking cocktail, if you ask me. Sorry tiki lovers, but using Orgeat can really make your cocktail look meh. And just to make it clear, I love the flavor of a classic well-made Orgeat too. But today we'll make exactly that. Make it clear. Would you guess this is Orgeat? And you'd probably have a hard time guessing what cocktail this is, because it's usually so milky. Try to guess in the comments before you see the end of the episode. Some might say this is unnecessary, or that it can't taste as good. I'm here to say let's experiment and see what we can do. So if you're ready to try something a little different, stick around. It's cocktail time. I made a DIY Orgeat video a while ago on this channel, and something that kept popping up was you guys saying a lot of your Orgeats would curdle when mixed with citrus. Orgeat is of course a syrup made with almonds and water, which makes almond milk. And just like regular milk, almond milk curdles when it comes in contact with acidic juice. Not ideal for Mai Tai, but great for what we'll do today. So we will take advantage of this and make Clear Orgeat. At home I tried with store-bought almond milk, but here we'll make a DIY version as well, to compare the two and see if it's worth the extra work. So let's start with making some homemade almond milk. To make that, you only need 200 grams of blanched almonds and 600 grams of water. But to get the most flavor from the almonds, I'll toast them first. This wakes up the oils in almonds and really enhances the aroma. In hindsight, this step might cause you problems in the future. You'll see what I mean. But once you see this beautiful browning on them, they're done. Now that we have toasted blanched almonds, we'll add them to a blender, together with 600 grams of hot water. For safety reasons and depending on your blender, make sure you're not working with water that's too hot. Then blend on high speed until all the almonds are blended as fine as they'll go. Next step is to strain the almond milk through a cloth filter or a nut milk bag. More about the accuracy of this name at the end of the episode. And basically, that's all there is to it. Homemade almond milk really is that simple to make. At the end, don't forget to squeeze all the milk through the filter to get all that delicious flavor. As always, a potato ricer is your best friend here. When I made the classic Orgeat, I used gum arabic and xanthan gum as emulsifiers. But we actually want the separation here, so you're not adding that today. Measure out 500 ml of milk and heat it up slightly. As mentioned in the milk syrup episode, I like to heat up the milk when using it for clarification. To achieve that, with our almond milk, we'll need to add acidity. Once I see first signs of steaming from the milk, I'm mixing in 3/4 of an ounce or 22.5 ml of 6% citric acid solution. To make that, I just dissolved 6 grams of citric acid in 94 grams of water. This now has lemon-like acidity. You could use lemon juice as well, but that might add a bit of lemon flavor into your clarified Orgeat. The acidity causes the curdling effect in the milk, separating the solids from the liquid. I'll leave this to sit for about 30 minutes before we filter it. But in the meantime, I can repeat the process with our store-bought almond milk. This is roasted almond milk without sugars added. And just like before, I measured out 500 ml, heated it up, mixed in 3/4 of an ounce or 22.5 ml of citric acid solution, and left it to sit. At this point, I realized the DIY version didn't curdle as much as I hoped. To help it along, I added another half ounce or 50 ml of citric acid solution, so 1.25 of an ounce or 37.5 ml in total. Not that it mattered in the end, with the store-bought version coming along nicely. I'll filter this one first. Get a cloth filter ready and pour the curdled almond milk over it. At the beginning, the milk will still look pretty milky, but as the curds create an additional filter, you see the clear liquid coming through. At this point, you'll just refilter the first part. While that's filtering, we can repeat the process for our DIY version. And here's where things started to get a little weird. I waited for the curds to create an additional filter, as you can see by the clear almond milk dripping down, but once they hit the bottom of the bowl, they immediately become cloudy again. As you can see by these clear drops of almond milk dripping down. I'm guessing this is because of the oils from the almonds, creating what is known as the Laucke effect. If this didn't happen here, it would surely happen in the cocktail once we added ice. So now that we've all learned something, let's move on with just the store-bought version, which I already tried at home. With that completely filtered, it's time to add the sugar. Weigh your yield and add the appropriate amount of sugar. 1:1 ratio of almond milk and sugar. Stir to dissolve and then weigh your syrup again, because we need to add 2 more things. First is rose water, 0.05% of the total weight of the syrup. Some people use orange blossom water, but I think rose water gives it a little more depth of flavor without overpowering the almonds. If you're using my measurements, I added 0.4 grams. And lastly, almond flavored drops, 0.6% of the total weight of the syrup. This highly concentrated food flavoring will enhance the almond flavor of our clarified Orgeat and can be picked up in specialty baking stores or online. I'm adding 4.8 grams, but it might depend on the brand you're using. Start with a little less and adjust to taste. Mix everything again, then bottle and label your Clear Orgeat. There's no way you'll know what's in this bottle if you don't. Not focusing on appearance, this Orgeat has a strong sweet almond character with a hint of rose floral notes, similar to the store-bought Orgeats, probably thanks to their flavor drops. But the main thing is that I have never seen or tasted an Orgeat that looked as clear as this. So now that we have our clear Orgeat, let's see how much nicer we can make a Jerry Thomas original, the Japanese cocktail. We already made the original and modern versions of this classic cognac cocktail, and while tasting great, they don't really look all that pleasing to the eye. So did you guess at the start that the clear cocktail was a version of the Japanese cocktail? Anyway, it's time to chill the mixing glass and build this 3-ingredient classic. All you need is a cognac, Angostura bitters and our clear Orgeat. I think saline solution doesn't even count as an extra ingredient at this point. First I'm adding 1/4 ounce or 7.5 ml of our clear Orgeat, a little less than what we used with the classic, but there will be enough of almond flavor and sweetness from this anyway. Next, 3 dashes of Angostura bitters from our small dasher bottle. The original bitters used by Jerry Thomas were Bogart's or Booker's bitters. And the spirit, 2 ounces or 60 ml of brandy, which cognac of course is. I'm using Pierre Ferrand 10 Generations. Don't forget 2 drops of saline solution to make all the flavors pop. Then add plenty of ice and stir to chill and dilute. I already have another cocktail in mind for this, but for starters, I really wanted to make this cocktail look as nice as it tastes. Strain into a chilled Nick and Nora glass. Garnish with a lemon peel, and let's finally see if this was a successful experiment. The aroma of lemon is beautifully present, and the cocktail suddenly looks similar to an old-fashioned, not only in its ingredients, but also in appearance. The almond works well with the choice of cognac, making this into a wonderful sipper. Finally, I'm happy with all parts of this cocktail. With that, you've made it to the bottom of the glass. Before we get to that though, we already mentioned the milk syrup today. In that episode, I promised to check on the shelf life through the next few weeks. It's now been 5 days, and as expected, the syrup is still tasting great. Back into the fridge. Now for the fun fact of the day. Almonds. Did you know that almonds aren't actually nuts? Botanically, a nut is a dry fruit that consists of a hard shell covering a single seed. But almonds, along with walnut, coconut, pecan, cashew, and pistachio plants are classified as drupes. These produce fruits that are fleshy on the outside and contain a shell covering a seed on the inside. We of course eat the seed. Interestingly, peaches, plums, and cherries fall into the same category, but you really shouldn't eat those seeds. So since there's no almond emoji, post a cherry or a peach emoji to let me know you watched all the way to the end. And don't forget to save some of this Orgeat for a future episode. In the meantime, you can check out the original DIY Orgeat episode. Cheers, friends of cocktails.